Hello, I'm Ozone Ocean, and with me is Baines and Tance.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the Quackcast. This is the Drunkduck Quackcast, number 656. Hello. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about character evolution again. Alternative character evolution, just like last week. Because we're lazy buggers and we couldn't think of a new topic. There was so much to it, so much to this topic that we needed to go further into it. And now we're doing Indiana Jones. Not any specific film of Indiana Jones, just all Indiana Jones, and we're just picking out any, how that character should develop or would develop in our way of seeing it. Because, George Lucas has developed Indy in a certain way going on with those films, and perhaps that's not the right way, and it doesn't matter. We're going to think of a way that the character could evolve, and maybe other characters in that series as well, and we're going to think of something interesting because of that, and this will be an interesting creative exercise. It also helps us in terms of our own comics and our own writing, because we sort of, plotting alternative timelines to characters and thinking about how they can develop and different influences and different ways of exploring them. So it's an incredibly valuable thing to do. But before we get into that, we have to do the featured comic. This week, Quackcast gave us a feature, and that was Thurley Peak. So take it away, Quai, with your comic Thurley Peak.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Thurley Peak by Hawk and Flo Adventures, and it is rated E for everyone. The year is 2022. Theodore J. Carlson is riding a school bus up a steep hill while talking to a friend, Eugene, about poetry written during the Great War. Screech! Theodore's life is about to be turned upside down in a matter of seconds by a treacherous disaster. Vroom! The strange turn of events began with an odd encounter with a bog monster named Blarg, the living potato. Blarg is reclusive, yet knowledgeable and helpful, leaving Theodore with words of advice to stay out of the sweet shop. Venturing out of the bog to search for more help, Thurley Peak local Niles Knightley reassures Theodore that it is just an average day in Thurley Peak. The art is drawn with pen ink on paper, digitally scanned, and then painted and lettered with digital ink. This comic is listed as a horror genre just in time for Halloween 2023. Learn the origin story that chased Blarg into exile, and read Thurley Peak by Hawk and Flo Adventures, rated E.
And that was Quackcast with Thurley Peak. Okay, so next up we have the featured music. Gummels has given us the theme to Lorem Ipsum, which was Quiet's feature of a couple of weeks ago, so that's pretty cool. Alright, so Lorem Ipsum. Gummels' fantastic theme. A jolly feast of wackiness with tropical island party vibes. This is a dance on a warm beach during a beautiful sunset, sipping Mai Tais and coconut milk. So take it away, Gummels, with your theme to Lorem Ipsum. And that was Gummollus with Lorem Ipsum, which is a cool comic. And that is, of course, by Baker Toons, and it's rated E for everyone. Yay! Okay, guys, the Quackcast topic for this week: alternative character evolution. ... Indiana Jones. Indy. Okay, so with Indiana Jones, I don't know. I've never read any books or comics on this stuff. I'm sure there are lots, but I have seen the Young Indy TV series, at least a few of them. So he's given us his own version of how the character was before and actually after, because I think in one of the episodes of the Young Indy TV series, it starts off with an older Indy who's reminiscing about his younger days.
Yeah, he's an old man. I haven't seen the series, but I know he appears as an old man in one episode, and in another episode, Harrison Ford actually has a cameo, sort of just at the beginning and the end, and he's reminiscing about a specific adventure, and then the episode with the young guy happens, and then there's a tag with Harrison Ford.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, I have to watch those.
I had to see that. I was such a Harrison Ford fanatic. I heard about that, and I had to buy that tape, VHS at the time.
Wow. Well, I have
Harrison at his two peak career. He did this show, which was pretty cool.
Must have been a favor to good old Lucas.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Well, I have to watch those. I haven't seen the Young Indy series since I was many years ago. I can't really remember much of it. So yes, but anyway, so Indiana Jones, his development. So we're thinking about like the Temple of Doom, and no, not Temple of Doom. What is it? Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's it. Raiders of the Lost Ark. See, that's where Indy first appears in cinema. And that's where we all fall in love with him. So then we got Temple of Doom, and he does everything there, blah, blah, blah. And then The Last Crusade, then the alien thing. No one remembers what that one's called. And The Dial of Destiny, which none of us have even seen.
Yeah.
So we're looking at I don't know, the progression from mainly the Raiders of the Lost Ark, I think. Because that's where it initiates, and then it starts to kind of slightly diverge from what we would think, I suppose.
I mean, I like The Last Crusade. I know you hate it, but I really like it. I mean, I don't feel like changing it. I totally buy a strained relationship with his dad. But if you want to just mix that one as well, we can.
Yeah, why not? Let's just go. If he starts out in the Temple of it's called the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Ozone Brain, get it in your freaking head. The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
These are deep cuts, everybody. Hope you're able to follow.
So we started out the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So we're in the late 30s in Egypt, I suppose. Well, he goes all over the place, doesn't he? Because it's a big long journey to get there. Mm-hmm. But we end up in Egypt, and where does he go from there? Really, where does he go from there? So we think about that whole film happens as it is, that whole story.
Yeah.
Then at the end of that, I think that the last kind of moment of that film is where the Ark gets stuck in some crate in some hidden warehouse somewhere. But we don't.
In the United States.
Yeah, but we don't see Indy there. Indy's
No.
Just
Indy and Maria, I want to say, but I don't remember her name. Are just walking down the steps of I don't remember which official Washington D.C. building. Marion, yeah, that's right, Baines.
So they are in America. Damn it.
Yeah, I said so. and she's trying to console him that he basically has lost the Ark because it was taken away and hidden and stuff like that.
That belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
That kind of sounded like I don't know, some other guy, some other actor. I can't remember.
Adam West, a little bit.
I thought it was like that guy in all the Hitchcock films. What's his name?
Cary Grant or something.
Oh no. that
No, he wasn't in Hitchcock. I don't know. I'm not a
who knows?
He did sound a little bit like I've heard of people do impressions of Cary Grant, and he sounded a bit like those impressions.
Oh dear. I wish I sounded like Cary Grant. I was thinking of that guy in the Rear Window. That film.
Oh yeah, James Stewart.
Yeah. My God, with the weirdest voice in the world. He's a strange guy. Was a strange guy. But we digress. So we're talking about they end up in Washington somewhere. All right. Disappointed that they've lost the Ark. Where do they go from there?
Mm-hmm.
So who wants to take it? And you can take any character. I mean, obviously they go to India and then do the old Temple of Doom stuff. But do we do that? Do we go to India? Because that's where we meet Short Round.
We want to do that. Yeah, I think honestly, for everyone's sanity, I'd say we keep the 3 movies, the main 3.
Yeah, what is this? The Halloween franchise?
Yeah, Indy's not even in the second one.
Yeah,
it's just Short Round.
Third one,
it's all
third
Short
one's
Round.
just about these crazy masks or something. I could see it being done. I mean, like you guys, I haven't seen the last one, so I don't know what happens. I mean, I kind of know what happens because I've seen reviews, but
yeah, same.
I could keep it all, and I think you could probably do it now. Maybe Harrison is still, pretty great. I think I haven't seen anything of him really recently, but he's still doing it, and I agree that bringing back Short Round, who's Ke Kwan, who's now his career has this sudden rebirth, which is great. He would be an important ingredient, I think, for all of us. Like, we like the idea of bringing him back. And I'll piggyback on what you guys were talking about on the Patreon video, where it's like Russia and it's spy intrigue. Mm-hmm. When you talked about that, I could picture, I don't know what the artifact would be or what the exact story would be, but I could picture
a crystal skull.
Those environments and that sort of darker, colder environs and car chases, and we're in Russia, and like it's more like spy intrigue. I think Indy could be in that world, and it could be great. It doesn't have to be jungle traps or whatever.
There is a tendency for all the artifacts to be religious, and the religions turn out to be more or less true, in the sense that there is some kind of spiritual magic happening around these artifacts.
Right.
In all 3 that we have seen, there was the Hindu one in the rocks, in Temple of Doom, and the whole Kali thing.
Yeah.
um, and of course, we have the Ark and we have the Holy Grail. So I would still keep the theme of finding an artifact that is religiously related to some kind of legend, like magic legend, and go from there.
I know.
Honestly, oh, go on.
We'll do the Lance of Longinus, because that was famous. You know, the one that pierced Jesus,
Mm,
and that could be.
yeah, that's definitely
Oh,
good.
did one of you talk about this before, or someone else?
Maybe it was Pitt.
This sounds familiar, but this is cool, and I guess it's a lance, so Indy could find it, and we could have. I mean, this is from you guys as well. It's the U.S. spy agencies, intelligence agencies trying to get it. The Russian spy agencies trying to get it, and Indy wants to keep it away from both. At least by the end of the movie, he wants to keep it away.
I think more spy agents. I think we'll mix in MI6. I think or is it MI5?
Yeah.
Not sure.
MI6, I think.
The Tom Cruise movie. What?
Oh. Oh my God! If someone had a sense of humor, they would totally cast Tom Cruise in one of the spy agencies.
Make him
I
a
would-
Russian guy just for fun. Yeah, he's a Russian spy.
Oh God.
Oh yes. Oh,
Let him
that
do
would-
one of his accents. Yeah.
what I would want. I mean, what I would want if I were to write the plot for like to choose an artifact. I mean, the spear is very alluring and could totally work, but I would want to go with something that possibly offers intelligence in the sense like something that both spy agencies would really want because it offers intelligence. And what I would do is I would want them to go after the omphalos. So the omphalos was supposedly this sacred stone that in ancient Greece that the serpent, the like this, godly serpent, like a python sort of situation, fought Apollo, and Apollo won, and he won the area of Delphi where he made his shrine, and it was over this supposedly this crevice, like this fissure sort of thing where the snake had cracked the earth upon its death, and right over it there was this rock that represented the snake or the egg of the snake or something like that. I don't remember right now very well because didn't prepare for this. um, and that's where Pythia, the priestess of Apollo, the oracle, would set her tripod over to have her visions and give like give the oracle, give her visions of the future and what would happen and things like this. So supposedly that's what gave her the gift of sight because it came from this fight of Apollo and the snake. So the stone could be your magical MacGuffin that supposedly grants clairvoyance and to whoever is holding it in their hands in a very specific manner maybe or whatever. And so all the spy agencies want it, and we could even have this opening scene where someone like some peasant in Greece finds it accidentally and he handles it and he starts like he goes basically insane because he gets all the visions and he starts blabbing more or less like Pythia would, like the priestess would have, but because there is nobody to help him, he ends up in an insane asylum and now we have our movie.
Okay. Yeah. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, or you could have like the tripod of the priestess, something from the Delphi oracle.
Doesn't the omphalos, doesn't that mean navel? Belly button?
Let me just Google really quick and correct whatever I got wrong. Delphi. Omphalos stone. Okay, I must remember more or less a second. All right, so the Omphalos of Delphi, an ancient marble monument that was found at the archaeological site of Delphi. And I'm going to just paste the wiki. And you could have, like, this could be cinematically, like with potential, you could have it like light up and do stuff.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember I studied that back in art school when we when we studied all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Navel of the Earth, yes.
I was wrong about who did what. Apparently Zeus placed the stone there. But yeah, it's still supposedly connected to the oracle. So yeah.
Okay, and this gives some kind of clairvoyance, and which that would actually tie in well with if it's sort of some spy intrigue in the story, like knowledge. Really, this kind of all ties together, like in kind of a cool theme, actually.
So this is basically what we're doing instead of the Crystal Skull. Basically, this is
yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, because it had knowledge, right? Is that what you mean? It had like everything. If you.
I don't know. It's just like periodically. So where instead of doing the Crystal Skull thing, we do this story instead. This is what's.
I mean, the nice thing about Indiana Jones, it's different than Star Wars in that his adventures. I think there is a character arc. If you look at the movies in universe order, but they're kind of standalone, right? Like, I mean, you could do this no matter what other movies exist. You could do another Indiana Jones movie, and it's him, and you probably want to see him in the costume at some point, and it's going to be fun and a roller coaster, but it's like and played by Harrison Ford. That's kind of all you really have to do.
Yeah.
You don't really need continuity is not really a problem for the most part. Maybe the broad strokes, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the whole thing about when they were saying, oh, we need this Shia LaBeouf guy to be in, to do like stunts. We need a younger person because Harrison Ford's older now and he can't do the like stunts, but he still did some big stunts in that Crystal Skull film. But he doesn't have to. Like in the first film, he only does stunts out of desperation. Like when he had to fight the Nazis on the tank and that kind of stuff. Because we're looking at him versus, say, Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker's sort of like a bit of a superhero. But Indiana Jones is a real man. And he doesn't have special powers. And he can get injured. And he, can't bounce back and whatever. So you'd expect him not to want to do any stunts if he could help it, and that wouldn't be a disappointment, would it? Thinking about the like age appropriateness of the whole thing, he could be just like in the first film, that guy comes at him with that giant sword and he just goes, oh, like bugger this, and shoots him dead. That would be his same sort of attitude towards having to do like desperate action kind of stunts, like, oh, you have to jump this thing before it's too late. He just goes, oh, bugger that, and picks a different route, He goes, oh, whatever. And that would be the fun part of the film.
Yeah. It could be exaggerated, like could a guy this age or of any age do this, say jumping out of a car and rolling or jumping off a thing onto another thing. It's like,
It's not that
To me,
far.
anyway, it could be heightened reality still. He still has,
Honestly, you
still
know
an
what?
adventure
No.
movie, but it's less. It's way harder for him, and like you said, only by necessity.
Yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to see him working out cleverer ways of doing that stuff,
That
Mm.
would be great.
which would be
Yeah.
And
way more fun.
I would honestly give him some development off screen. Like when we start, we see a different in the quote unquote different in the sense that he has been through the bloodiest war to date when we start, right? In the 50s, late 50s or whatever. I don't think Vietnam has started yet. And whatever, it's not World War. So he has been through this terrible war that has destroyed a blip ton of, artifacts. He might even be on some kind of watch trying to uncover Nazi caches of ancient stuff that they stole. Like he might have an actual real gripe with this sort of thing. And I would give him like the permanent slight, not really big, but slight problem from some kind of war wound.
Oh yeah.
So he would not be able, by definition, because he went through a war and he got injured and whatever, jump around like a grasshopper.
Mhm.
Right.
But I would also, on the other end of the balance, give him a much better competence with the whip. Like make him really, really good with it. Not necessarily to swing around with, but
Yeah,
make
that'd
it,
be very hard for an older guy.
yeah, but make him like with a flick of his wrist be able to just, fire off with this whiplash that has precision strike, like that level.
Yeah, I could get
And
a gun out of someone's hands, for example.
yeah, with just the whip. And you could explain why he has gotten this good, because while waiting in recovery, for example, uh, to be able to be really more mobile and stuff, this is how he spent his time, being very aggressive at his environment with a whip. Which I can see him be, because I don't think he takes frustration really well. So yeah, I
Yeah.
would make him battle weary and pissed off, and this would be his arc. He would need to just chill out by the end of the movie. That's how I would start it. So
Yeah, we can tackle the whip kind of stuff. What's another aspect to him that would develop? Okay, so isn't I don't know. He's always intelligent. Always resourceful. These are important things. Resourceful, intelligent, well studied. Physical abilities down slightly. He still has a gun. Does he still have a revolver? That's the thing. Maybe
yeah,
he has like an automatic now. Who knows?
he probably has whatever is more efficient and has the least kick, because why not? um, that's what I would give him. He definitely would still have a gun, and he would be very paranoid. I would say, like he is very trusting in all three movies. He trusts people, even remember with Elsa and others that he trusts and they betray him. But now, after the war, after everything, he trusts literally nobody. Like he just doesn't trust people anymore. He's very disillusioned. He's angry at the way the world has come out of World War II. He is angry at the inefficiency at getting back the artifacts. He is angry that half his friends are behind the Iron Curtain, blah, blah, that sort of thing. Because I would have to be very friendly and having been buddies with some kind of communist guy who is not necessarily a hardliner or whatever. They are war buddies. They were in some kind of adventure together during the war. And now they cannot even talk because of the Iron Curtain, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, so he's got connections across the lines.
Mm.
One aspect that I think is really strong in those films is like the glamour of a lost age. So, and the technology, high technology of a lost age. So in those first 3 films, we have like, okay, Zeppelins were a new thing. Like Zeppelins were fantastic. Like, wow, that's an exciting thing. We've got like the Jazz Age stuff, like these amazing cars in Macau or Hong Kong, wherever it is, and that's high technology, amazing stuff. We have the tank, that amazing like aeroplane that was really cool in in Egypt or something like that. So we've got this kind of technology aspect. So it'd be good to have a focus on that too. So maybe like rockets, maybe that's a thing, because that was technology from the 1960s that was really coming along. We've also got transatlantic flights that could be possible because of the much bigger, more powerful airplanes that have really exciting like air hostesses or service or something like that on there. That's like a more of a glamorous thing than we have now. So looking at the glamorousness of international travel, so these kind of aspects could be a bit of a focus for the story. What do you reckon?
And also we have like atomic bomb testing
Oh God.
at the airports.
Well, you can hide from that in a fridge apparently. So
Okay. We don't do fridges, okay? No fridges. But yeah, what I would have him like, I would have had him be like some kind of intelligence guy during the war, because I think that he would have been best employed doing like deciphering certain things, and not deciphering as in code breaking, but there was this. Oh, there's this other thing like the Nazis had this huge quote unquote cult, the cult of the Black Sun, and he would totally have been a consultant in Norse mythology, and all sorts of things that would help do black ops and psyops against the Nazis, uh, working with their infatuation with Norse mythology and being, the Umbermans, and I would have him do something like that, something that would require him to work with other um, intelligence agencies during the war while everyone was allied. Uh, because I would want him to then be pissed off that he cannot have his friends that he survived with and did stuff. Maybe, or maybe we could just not go immediately post-war and do an Indiana Jones during the war. Why not?
I think the only problem with that is the age of the actor. If we did that, because he'd be a bit too old.
Forget that. They can de-age him. They did age him for the movie. Apparently, from what I have heard, there are a lot of scenes with him. Like, it's not just like a cameo thing. So they can do that.
I would like to see some, or have some sort of. What I really love is the tying in the plot to contacts he made, or whatever the artifact, like whatever. Some aspect of it connected to the war when everyone was allied. All the different countries were allied and everything, versus now with the separation.
Yeah,
of everyone.
we could even have him
That would be cool.
be this like in Raider in Last Crusade, where he is looking for this cross, and we see him, in the peak of that adventure and stuff. We could even have him be with his friends during the war, trying to secure, for example, the spear.
Yeah,
the one
that's
that
what I was
pierced
thinking.
the-
Start off with the Lance of Longinus and then go to the Omphales, like that. Have that as a
Yeah.
fake out. Have 'em-
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they realize as they secure this that the Nazis are looking for the Omphalos for intelligence purposes, so they have to try and get ahead of that. But then the war ends because they reach Berlin. Have it be like really the end of days of the war, and then somehow the Omphalos is never sought after. So, but now with the Iron Curtain, both agencies or all three agencies or whoever you want, remember that the Nazis were looking for this thing that can tell you what the enemy is doing.
Well, the British could be after it because they think they own all the artistic treasures from everywhere. So they're like, it belongs in our museum.
Yeah, we have all the things. Oh my goodness. So they seek out Indy again and say, you know what, you had been given by like OSS the mission to find the Omphalos, and now we want you to pick that up again. And then in true Tangerine fashion, he flips them off and says, you can get bent because I'm not doing that. I'm pissed for whatever reason. And then they sort of entice him back into it. Like, yeah, but the Russians are looking for it. And then he thinks that maybe he can find his friend through that. Since the Russians are looking for it. Something like that. Like in it follows a little bit the bits of the third movie, but maybe too much. I don't know. But
I think it'd be better if it's like a three-way battle between American intelligence, MI5, and
KGB.
the KGB.
Yes.
The KGB.
Yeah, and yeah, in Greece we call them KGB. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, NKVD. Let me see. I think NKVD was at the time. Google, tell us. NKVD. Come on. It's taking its time. So.
Google never hurries when it needs to.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, because NKVD started off in 1934. And they stopped at 1946. And then they became, I think, KGB, sorry. And
say whichever, they both work.
Yeah, they started off, KGB started 1954. So KGB then. All right.
Interesting. So we can have all sorts of stuff, and he can refer to his old mates from the KVD or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Now being in the KGB. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, it's all coming together. So who else do we have in this story? So the three films before are canon. That means Short Round could come in.
And the great thing about that is he could be anywhere and doing anything, It might even be him as a friend who is who Indy who at some point in the movie, the one who makes Indy decide to keep going. Because either Short Round inspires him or like he's working on blank, blank, blank. And like if we can get it, we'll stop this, catastrophe from befalling the world or whatever, or it's to help Short Round, more specifically to help him.
Oh, yes. That's an interesting idea. I was thinking Short Round could have been like in one of the spy agencies now, but why would he? So maybe he'll just like...
He could be connected. He could be some kind of like archivist or some kind of researcher or something who's
Mhm.
connected to an intelligence agency.
But maybe he's just not part of that at all. And like you say, like Indy just comes across him because maybe he's working at a university or something like that, or maybe he's
Yeah, I can see him. Like he
Yeah,
had taken short round technically under his wing, right? So, and then they sort of forget about Indy mentoring this kid, basically. So we could have it that he made sure that Scotland grew up. He could have grown up. Yeah, it took him back with him in the United States and helped him put through his education, and he could be himself a professor
yeah.
doing a sabbatic somewhere.
yeah,
Maybe he's a sort
Uh,
of a new Indian in a certain way. Yeah, like
he
archaeologist
actually
sort of
could
thing.
be all the like on the other side of the spectrum. Like he used to be very like adventurous and stuff, and now he isn't, or he could still be adventurous depending on what we want. Um, but I could see him be a professor and like very very good professor, very knowledgeable in something like maybe languages
That's what
or
I
something
think.
like.
I think maybe he would be a more intellectual guy than an
Mm.
action hero guy. But maybe action hero ness is
yeah,
forced upon him.
Yeah.
yeah. It'd
He's
be a
a
great arc for
Oh,
him.
you know what?
That's awesome. Actually,
How about he's like this very, this very scholarly guy. He's very much a geek. He loves what he studies, whatever it is. I wouldn't put him honestly. I wouldn't put him in humanities. I would have him be like a mathematician or a physics guy or something like that, and
hmm.
he gets drawn in by some element in the adventure that calls for his expertise, whatever that is. He could be even like he could have been a code breaker of some sort during the
yeah,
war. And
I don't. I wouldn't want him to be like a participant in the war. That's just my gut feeling. It's sort of
okay.
I don't have that legacy of a war kind of thing. I sort of have because during the war he was very young, wasn't he?
How old
So
would he have been?
Temple of Doom is like
Mm-hmm.
almost during the war, isn't it?
No,
Like
it's
that's late
1935.
30s.
Temple of Doom is 1935.
Yeah,
Short
it's
round
like
is maybe 12. I think I would say something like that.
So in the war
11,
he's
12.
like what 17 or 18 or something. And
yeah.
he ends up so he's at like young fighting age. But he's in a kind of a place where I don't know the Japanese invaded and all that kind of stuff. it's weird, isn't it? It's
It's,
I would want to have like just escaped from the harshness of the war rather than being involved in it. That's just my feeling.
okay, okay. You know what? Then we could have had Indy seeing where things were going, and he asks Marion to just take short round and go to Canada or something like that to escape like internment camps and stuff like that. So they go and stay there. I don't know if Canada had that. I haven't looked into it. But they go away from the war, so he feels safe that both Marion and Short Round are away from the war, and he goes to war instead.
I like that
So,
because Indy's a protective of
mm,
short round. So yeah, he would have wanted that to happen because he's very fatherly over him.
yeah, and that would make him very sympathetic as a character even more. I think, even though he's like the gruff but very protective dad figure. So,
Yeah,
Exactly.
and they and Short Round grows up away from the war with I don't know how he would feel about that because at 17 you are hot-headed and young and have strong feelings about things.
Could
But
be
maybe not.
resentful.
Yeah, he could have been like you stole away my chance to go be a hero and stuff like that.
But it would be quite complicated because
Mm-hmm.
he was a Chinese national, I think, and China had weirdness happening there with. Okay, so they were invaded by the Japanese and they were fighting
Mm-hmm.
them, but then they had civil wars against each other, and
I would expect that by then, Shortrand would have been a naturalized American by then.
but still he grew up most of his life in China, so he's like his loyalties would still be like he'd still be thinking of his homeland and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's,
I don't think
Not
so, honestly.
necessarily. I mean, that's might be, but it doesn't have to be.
He didn't strike me as a person. It struck me more like a leaf in the wind, more or less, more than, oh, I'm grounded in my country and I am very much have relevance. Like he probably has no family, all of that. So I don't know. I would say I would have him have at least an American passport for sure. And maybe he's frustrated that he couldn't go to war, or maybe he isn't. Maybe because he was there with the whole Kali situation and he got away. Maybe he doesn't like violence at all, and he's very thankful that he stayed. Yeah, that he sat the war out. I don't
yeah,
know.
I I reckon that would be an interesting aspect of the whole thing. He sort of going against that typical trajectory of a young person who just wants to go to war and wants to fight and wants to do this and that kind of stuff. He's more thoughtful about that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or his feelings are more complicated. So
Yeah.
he's orphaned during the Japanese bombing. I'm looking at the wiki for the thing. So he's
Yeah, I
born.
remember that movie. Yeah, he lost his family. He was orphaned.
So Japanese bombing in 1932. So the Japanese
Mm-hmm.
messed things up for him.
Okay.
So Shanghai,
Well,
so the
that
capital.
you know what? Then I would have him be a bit stereotypical in the sense that he might have wanted to go fight the Japanese exactly because of this. Indy doesn't allow it. Marion is on Indy's side. She doesn't allow him, and he is now pissed off and estranged because he missed his chance to avenge his family or whatever. So now that this new situation occurs, for Indy sort of ends up being with him again, perhaps because he butts in the situation and he's involved in some way. He would be an adult. We don't know exactly what his job is. He might be a bit of a spook.
Mhm.
um, but and eventually they have his character arc is realizing that war is not really all that it's cracked up to be, in the sense that, yeah, you don't really get the revenge as you imagine it in your head, and it doesn't really do you any favors, and he ends up understanding this in some way. So for
Yes,
short
I would like
run.
that. I would like that. Yeah, less war
Yeah.
focused. Okay, so do we have Indiana's dad in this story?
Yes.
I know. Did he survive in the Last Crusade? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the whole point. Yes.
Okay. There's something
But
about the Holy Grail, blah blah blah.
he survives, and that could actually have been why Short Round didn't just disobey or whatever. Like maybe for once, in this dad came through, and he sort of made sure that this kid would sit the war out. Um, and so he makes amends in that way, helping his son. So now I'm just brainstorming because I had a different idea before and now it's all derailed. But yeah, I would definitely have Short Round have some kind of resentment, but he still loves Indy and he still worries about him. And the resentment is not like, you were a neglectful father. It's the opposite. You were too protective of me. You didn't let me
Yes.
go do what I wanted to do.
You see, I love that
Like
idea because
it's a.
it
Mhm.
totally undercuts all his bullshit with his mutt. Like he didn't even know he had a son. Blah blah blah. Now I'm
Yeah.
reconnecting. Oh god, I hate that kind of stuff. And yeah, so now he's way too protective of a son that's not even his, which is
Hmm.
that's beautiful. So that's quite and yeah, quite different to like his dad, his
Yeah.
actual dad.
He has gone. Yeah, exactly. He has swung all the other the way of the spectrum. And if we make it impossible for Indy and Marion to have kids, and assuming that they have stayed together, which I would like, why wouldn't they have stayed together? Come on.
Yeah.
Of course, we have to explain Elsa and everybody
Mm.
else. But let's say that they got together after all of this adventure. Like when he rides off into the sunset with his dad, he seeks out Marion and they find each other and he finds Short Round. They have this little interim of situation where they sort of come together as a blended found family sort of thing.
Yes, I love
And
that.
yeah. And then the war actually does happen and Indy is specifically called out to war because otherwise he also wouldn't go. I think that he would be old enough to be in the reserves anyway, uh, right? I think because of how old is he in let's say 1937, 38, wherever the
He's
third
in his
movie is taken.
30s, I would reckon.
Okay, 40. So yeah, he would be in the reserves. He wouldn't be like in the first call to
I would
go
think
out.
he would be an officer.
Yeah,
Most
I think
definitely an
that
officer.
he would go in. He would be specifically called for a specific reason, which would be to go find the spear before the Nazis and send into Europe, behind enemy lines or whatever. So, and that's when he goes to war. I don't think that he would be gung ho eager to go fight, but maybe he would be. I mean, he hated Nazis, I guess. So I don't know.
They
I
they
think that
they would want to make him at least a captain or a major or something, I think.
maybe.
That's my feeling. What do you reckon, Baines?
Probably he'd be a cook. No, I don't know.
Cook. Captain
I
Cook.
think I think that he would be in intelligence because people like him wouldn't be sent out to be gun fodder. I mean, at least not necessarily. I mean, yes, I think that he would be used for this specific intelligence, especially if the whole search for the spear starts really early, and that's how he goes to war. And he specifically makes sure that his son, that is Short Round, does not get to go. So
Okay, so the wiki says he is above the draft age in
hmm.
the so he was 38 in Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's quite old.
Hmm.
And that was set in 1938. So Temple of Doom must be a prequel.
Yeah,
It is.
it is.
Okay. Well, there we go. Yeah. So, yeah, 38. So during World War II, he would have been in his 40s. And it says he didn't really serve in World War II. So.
Hmm.
But we can change that.
Yeah, I would have him serve as a special branch of OSS, going in to find this specific spear, the
Yeah.
spear of destiny. uh, and he gets assigned to this team of experts that come from all the great powers, the allied powers,
Okay.
and that
Yeah. All right. So we got
and he would
Russians and British and
yes,
French
That's
resistance.
like
So we got the Hogan's heroes.
basically yeah, Hawkers here, yeah, and they get like they get sent into Europe and they get debriefed and then they are just let loose and they have to go find it before the Nazis do, and that's the movie during the war.
Sorry, debriefed always sounds to me like someone removing their underpants. That's.
Now I cannot unsee it. Thank you for that.
Oh no, I've been debriefed.
And then eventually they managed to find it and keep it from the Nazis, and so which was like the last hope Hitler had to keep Berlin from falling.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. When he realizes that the spear has been retrieved by the Allies, he blows his brains out because everything is lost.
Yeah.
And then we have the post-war movie where Indy is, of course, very pissed off that he cannot see his friend from the USSR anymore.
Exactly.
Or his friends, because probably it wasn't like a trio only, it was probably like a team of at least 2 or 3 people from its force. So
Maybe the whole adventures with the lance. Maybe that could have happened, sort of in Russia or the Ukraine or something like that, in Western Russia. So that lends a special sting to the fact that he can't go there because he misses people like he drank with and
yeah,
had a really good relationship with.
and maybe people he owes his life to. Like if he got injured and he was retrieved and saved by random Russians,
Or Soviets.
and then Soviets, yes, Soviets, and he cannot. Like he worries about these people, he doesn't know what has become of these people, and he cannot really have a way of knowing. But even more interesting would be if his friend is the one making the dash for the omphalos for the USSR. He's trying to find it for the USSR. So now, Indian and the Soviet guy who were buddies before the war, during the war, are pitched against each other.
Yeah, well, that would fit in with the way he often has like rivalries with fellow archaeologists in this thing. So they're sort of friends,
but they are
sort of not friends.
In this case, the Soviet guy would not be the bad guy. I would still have Nazis be the bad guys because during like the era, that particular era, there was a very strong undercurrent of Nazis going around, and I would and being escaping persecution and running away from Mossad or whoever it was that wasn't Mossad yet. So I would still have the Nazis be in this race without the other people realizing. So in the end, again, these 3 people that are now against each other in this race for the omphalos, now they have to team up against the Nazis who are also in the dash for the omphalos, and they have to do it against orders, which is the thing.
And we're not going to South America either. So because obviously Nazis are meant to have fled to Argentina, but so we're going to what's the mythical place up in the north that the Nazis are meant to have wanted to go to?
Hyperborea, somewhere there. Where is
I
that?
think that's Conan's place. Yeah, it has some weird name about the north.
Yeah.
Where the Nazis. So we'll do that instead, and of course, Russia is quite.
And we could have the core of the Black Sun cult be very alive and well, and they are the ones that want the Omphalos in order to retake the world and penetrate the new world order.
Yeah.
So it's still the Nazis. The Nazis. I mean, indie is always versus Nazis. So I would keep that.
And you have a cult in there too for anyone who does like Temple of Doom.
Yes. Not cult in Nazis. Yeah, Nazis in a cult, which is like steroids on steroids. So
Bob Iger, call us. Let's say $1 million each to do this. We work cheap.
Ultima Thule. That's the place where the Nazis will go. where we'll have to try to escape to. That's the,
and we could have like Nazis in a literal Black Sun castle situation, like go for broke, complete super cult. And
excellent. I love it. That's way better than like weird Soviet baddies, because it just doesn't work as well. Like the whole Nazi thing really works so well. So yeah, I love it. They could have all the super stuff that Nazis are meant to have, like not the spaceship kind of stuff, but like I don't know, a big castle, submarine pens. Oh my god, those are fantastic. Like, have you ever seen those? Like the underground submarine pens? Oh, that's incredible. So they have these like especially I think at the maybe the fjord, something like that in Norway or Scandinavia somewhere. They have these amazing underground things right at the edge of the coast where the submarines go into, and like 3 or 4 submarines in this gigantic water pen. It's just amazing. This is so Indiana Jones. It's just like,
okay, awesome. Yeah, and we could have them be shocked, like when we could have like even a throwback I think it is in the first movie Raiders, where he sort of opens a trapdoor or he comes down some secret chamber and he sees this full Nazi room with a table map, like a map table, and all these Nazis putting little flags on the map and stuff. And he says, "Nazis, I hate these guys." And we could have this throwback to that scene with them realizing like these 3 dudes are racing for the Omphalos, and they sort of are together in this very quiet little tunnel of a room, and they don't want each other to be hurt. So they know that they are in a dangerous situation, whatever the situation is. So they are cooperating for now, so that they can all 3 make it out of there alive. And they open this little trapdoor thing or whatever, and they see that it is the Black Sun cult of the Nazis, and they have the Black Sun, and they have the swastikas everywhere, and full gear of Nazi whatever, all the Nazi regalia, and they all all 3 they sort of groan like Nazis. We hate guys.
oh my god, these guys. Exactly. So they reunite over their shared experience.
Yeah, and the moment that they see, like, I would have them discover this like at the middle of the movie, more or less, like, and they decide to sort of throw away their orders and team up because this is Nazis and they take precedence. And when they deal with the Nazis, they finally manage to get the omphalos. And I would have them all agree to bury it or destroy it. And all three return and say, you know what, the omphalos does not exist, or it was destroyed, or whatever. Because they don't want any of the powers in this Cold War situation to get the edge and destroy the balance and have nuclear war happen. So they all agree to keep this a secret between them, and they go back to their governments and say, sorry, we discovered Nazis. Nazis destroyed the omphalos, but we destroyed the Nazis. You are welcome.
And the powers that be will want to cover that up. They want to cover up the fact that there were still Nazis around.
Yeah.
Because, the whole thing is them beating the Nazis, and there's still like a secret enclave. That's ruins the narrative. So, yeah, I think that would be the big disappointment in the end. That we have the films. It's like, yeah, we defeated the Nazis. Oh, okay. Can't tell anybody about that ever.
Yeah.
It has to be a secret.
But they can now share a drink together after all.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that. I like that better. I think that's a massive improvement. So where does Short Round come in? He just helps him along the way.
I would have a Short Round be called in as an expert for something, and he doesn't appear to have batted in, he gets assigned there by the government or whatever. But then again, we will discover that eventually that he did volunteer for the position, and probably they have
maybe rather than that kind of because that is a sort of more a top-down kind of thing, and I don't really like that kind of idea, because indie stories are sort of like things just come together by accident. So I'm thinking, because say you said he's in Canada, so Canada's quite northerly, right? Baines, you could attest to this.
I'd say so, yeah.
Canada's quite northerly. You can see Russia from there. You can see the Soviet Union. So
sure, I can see Russia from my backyard.
Yes. So Short Round's got some experience with the ice and the snow, maybe. Maybe that's like one of his sidelines is like going all the way up north and ice fishing and all this kind of stuff. Or like investigating, I don't know, phenomena out there right up north or whatever. So maybe Short Round just assists Indy in his travels in a secret way to, Ultima Thule or whatever, because, he has so much experience in the northerly climes. I don't know. That's my sort of feeling, that there is like a coincidence of
that could work really well.
Opportunity,
especially if they need utter secrecy, since they are going against their governments, and the only one that can help and keep the secret is Short Round, and they have to rely on him to guide them or whatever, to do certain things. And
maybe he runs an airplane service or whatever, that flies
I could
up
see
north.
him be like having some kind of extreme hobby of some sort. He could be a pilot, but I don't think I cannot see him. Well, he could be. I mean, he did drive the car with.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So he was very capable.
Yeah, totally. He could be a pilot, and that's how he actually goes to find them in his plane.
And it gives him more adventure hero sort of aspects too.
Yeah. And he comes in and rescues them at the nick of time. Like he has been, of course, Indy has sort of radioed him in advance and probably off screen, and then he just comes in at the nick of time and helps them with something.
And it's so it's outside of the government, so
outside
doing
of
stuff
the
outside.
that works much better. And then, like Indy goes to say, "Yay, you did great," and he's just short with him, a short round, but now in a different way. Well, because he still has the grudge, and he said, now you like me being, in the middle of danger and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. That works beautifully.
Uh,
That's perfect. I think we've created the perfect sequel to replace the Crystal Skull.
Look for it.
Yay! I would
That's
watch
a-
it, honestly.
That's a $300 million grossing film. I mean,
Why not?
$200 budget, of course, but that's just how
Uh,
it is.
I'll be honest. I think that you could deflate that kind of budget. I mean, movies didn't used to cost this much to
Yeah.
be blockbusters.
We have to
and you
pay.
don't need to
We have
have.
to pay Harrison Ford $100 million. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
That'll be the lion's share. Yeah, I mean that stuff is.
But
Yeah,
if you make something people like, people will go to see it again and again. And I think that this, like, if you go that trajectory, it has the ingredients of an actual indie film. It's indie against the Nazis, friends from different places, not necessarily from the places that the authority approves, father-son situation, that they love each other, but they have an issue that they need to solve. And it's not a stupid issue. It's something that comes from a place of love. He protected him because he loved him. And he just wanted, again, to go into the war out of love for his dead family and blah, blah, blah. So
yeah.
it's not that anyone was neglecting that bit or whatever. So
Yeah.
Exactly, and there's
yeah.
no
Practical,
Shia LaBeouf
beautiful,
characters.
practical action, not too over the top. In the
Yeah.
spirit of the first three movie films, like there's a
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they can have lots of special moments between the actors, like moments where the characters can breathe, interact with each other, and let people immerse and be engaged in the issues that they are dealing with and the stakes. Because all of this is hush hush, the Nazis want to kill them because they don't want to be discovered. And there is like, they cannot take prisoners. Nobody can take prisoners in this. So it's super high stakes, and they cannot ask for help because it is all very hush hush. And
And yet you also have a sort of a somewhat fraught relationship. I hope it wouldn't be too horrible. Like what you said at the end, it wasn't too ridiculous with hating each other or something. It's you can capture some of that flavor of Last Crusade. That relationship was so well done. It captures some of that. Now with Indy as the older guy, of course, as the father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he might even have, like, at some point, like, be at the end of his wits with this, and in some, I don't know, capacity, call his dad and say, I don't know what to tell him, and he might say something like, now you know how it felt. That sort of thing. Like, have little nice warm moments, quotable moments, and some witty dialogue in there, and some old-fashioned Nazi ass kicking.
Maybe we could have a political dialogue between capitalist India and communist Soviet friends. Maybe just a friendly kind of.
Yeah, we could have them, like, have this kind of sort of slightly scathing banter, like Indy is being ironic and sarcastic about, I'm going to steal the means of production or whatever, and the Soviets are saying something in the same vein of make sure you work well, little capitalist, whatever. I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought about it, but some kind of like they're not fighting, but they do take shots at each other over
exactly.
their.
So they acknowledge their differences and make fun of them. Yeah. Something else like silly occurred to me as you guys are talking about the Sean Connery dad character, and I thought, wouldn't it be just so cool to have a crossover between Indiana Jones and Highlander?
Oh my god, that would be so fun. That would be the though, in my opinion. But that would be, imagine Indy
Because he's
stumbling
the same actor in both films.
Imagine Indy stumbling across the quickening. Like he just happens to be there when some dude decapitates another dude and lightning happens.
And of course, these guys have been around forever, so they know they've collected a lot of valuable antiques.
Yeah.
And they know the magical reality of a lot of the stuff as well. So
And they also have
knowledge.
they are themselves artifacts. Like they were in the ancient times. They know how things were. They can speak the language of old and blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Maybe the knight from the Last Crusade was like one of these guys.
He could have been.
Yeah.
That's why he has a sword still sitting there.
Exactly. Oh my god, that's the new version. Highlander and Indiana Jones. Perfect.
And the Omphalos actually is in the possession of the immortal mythos, who is using it for a paperweight, and he has had it on his office the entire time, and
and Indy's dad reveals to him that he's actually whatchamacallit from Indiana Jones, the Spanish I can't remember what his character's name was, but yeah, he's the Spanish guy.
He reveals to Indy that he actually was the knight that hid the Holy Grail, and that's why he was infatuated with it. He couldn't remember where to go find it.
Ramirez? Maybe that's his name?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm looking up quickly. Because we have the internet. And we're on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So...
What?
Juan Sanchez. I don't remember that name. Juan Sanchez Villalobos? Oh, there you go. Okay.
Also, another little slide, like if you are going to have
it is Ramirez. Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez. There we are. I knew it was Ramirez. Sorry, Towns, go on.
Okay. No, I was going to say that if you're going to have Indiana Jones speak Greek, give the guy some capacity to actually pronounce it. Because he speaks modern Greek in the last movie. It's not ancient Greek. So he should be speaking it. If you're going to go with modern Greek, which would be
the anti-Hebrew thing.
For the ancient dude. But let's say that you go with a modern thing. Give him the proper accent. It's not that hard to teach it. Teach him to say this one phrase properly so that we don't when we in affectionate giggling, but we still giggle when we hear him stammer through the Greek.
Yes.
Or go whole hog, give him the same sentence in the Attic dialect, and go with one of the official theories of pronunciation and teach him that. Again, not that hard. 48 hours tops of research and teaching. So,
Yeah. You may as well sound, because he's meant to be an intellectual and guy who goes into the roots of things, so that makes sense within the story, doesn't it? That he would want to be accurate about this stuff. He wouldn't just be fudging it.
No, he would know. He could count in Greek since he was a kid, probably a lot more than just count in Greek. So he probably has at least a decent fluency with it. I mean, you have to convey that. Anyway,
That'll be a nice little reference, to that other scene in the flashback in Last Crusade.
Well, exactly. Well, if he has to know these Bible myths, to learn about the Ark of the Covenant, then he obviously would have, read the Bible in its original version, all that kind of stuff. So he'd have to do all that stuff, and especially if he's talking to the Russians, or not Russians, sorry, the Soviets about stuff. He'd have to have a bit of more knowledge about Eastern Orthodoxy. So, he would have to have a bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
Ethan? What is he?
Ethan. Yeah. That's a nice name. Ethan.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. We've tackled Indiana Jones, turned into something new and special, just gone with a better version of stuff, because that's what we do. We tackle stories that are, that sort of peter out into crap and fix them.
Yeah. And we like doing it. So, thank you for listening.
Yes.
Next week, Willow. So get ready.
Oh, my God, yes. Oh,
Willow, yes. Oh my God, yes.
Another
Willow.
Lucasfilm.
We love Willow, but I have actually the books that are sequel to Willow, and they stink.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, there was a TV series that no one watched.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
deleted from Disney.
They literally took it off of streaming, right? Like they eliminated it from streaming or whatever.
That bad.
Reason.
Oh,
I guess it was that unpopular, and it was, I don't know exactly why, but it was cheaper to, I don't know if it was a write-off or taking it off of streaming was better for them financially than keeping it there.
Oh my God, imagine
That's
that.
not a good sign.
Yeah. No. Okay.
Poor old Warwick Davis. That was
he did. He got paid. Warwick Davis has a great career.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, true. He's been around forever. He was one of the few little people actors in Hollywood who was just in everything. But Willow is. I loved it as a kid. I mean, I was a teen when I saw it. Yeah, loved it. Loved Val Kilmer.
Yes, all of it.
Mad
Mardigan and Sorsa, the perfect couple.
Yeah, that was just awesome. All right, well, talk to you next
Bye.
week,
Guys.